Hello friends! I am excited that you're here. This is Krystal with the Create with Krystal YouTube channel, and I am an artist, a professional organizer, and a mom. And on my channel I'll be posting videos every Thursday so that you can learn how to draw, paint, and tell stories, because I love fairy tales. And so I've written a fairy tale about this painting, and I will read it at the end, so stay to the end to hear the amazing story of what happens to this father peacock and his 5 sons, and this is his son Kabir. So you will learn how to become an artist with me on my channel, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because I want to teach many people how to be an artist. So and then also stay tuned, because at the end I also give a time-saving tip, because sometimes the hardest part about being an artist is just getting your tush in the chair. You know, because we just have all these roadblocks like, well, I don't know, and I haven't done this, and I don't know how to do that. And so I'm going to help you with an amazing time-saving tip that's really going to help you. So there are 6 steps in painting this picture, and we will start. Step number 1 is you cover the painting with a ground. So we're going to do a cad red, orange ground, and we're just going to cover this really quickly, because you always want to have, not always, but many times, you want to have a ground, because it creates a beautiful warmth that will come through in the painting. Because if we just go straight into all of our peacock feathers, blues, then it will look so blue, and there's lots of warmth that comes through, and it makes, warm colors are very inviting and friendly, and it's just, and then I'm going to put a little bit of sepia brown just to make it kind of interesting. This actually is not sepia brown. It looks like sepia, but it's iron red oxide. This is my favorite color, and this is made by Nova Color, because this color is transparent, and so you can do glazes with this color. It's amazing. It is so pretty. I love it. There's another color that's a lot like it. It's yellow iron oxide, and it's fantastic too. So just get this covered. I'm going to use my blow dryer so we can blow dry this. I'm hoping to paint this very rapidly so that you can see how fun it is to paint. And you know, I don't want you to feel like, oh, this has to be perfect. I mean, I got to go to college at Brigham Young University to become an artist, and BYU, Idaho, for 5 years. So I learned so much, and I want to teach you what I learned. So I'm going to blow dry this. So wow, that was fast. I can't believe it. It's so dry. That was unbelievable. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this picture, and I'm just going to focus on what are these shapes. So step number 2 is draw the birds on with a pencil. This, I know you might have some fear, but one of my favorite scriptures is, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13. So if you feel fear, just, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. It's going to strengthen me to draw this. So we can do this. So this is the little peacock. It's about right here. And you can always fix it. We're painting with acrylic paint, and acrylic paint is fixable. So here's the little peacock, and he's got some cute little legs. And if you want to kind of, so if you're feeling like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous, maybe you could draw a little bit on a piece of paper beforehand. Draw like 5 or 6 peacocks, so you feel like, okay, I got their basic shape. But I mean, really, you don't have to, you know, make this thing perfect. Like, I want to show you how you can mess up and fix things. So where you place your peacock is very important, because the very first line that you do on your picture is the 5th line, because you've got line right here's a line, here's a line, here's a line, and here's a line. So say I say, oh, I'm going to draw my peacock, and start right here, then I'm gonna have the father up here and I'm gonna lose the chance of painting all his feathers. So I have to put the peacock where I want it, and you don't want to put it right next to the ground because then it feels like to the viewer, my peacock is falling out of my painting. So you want to have some ground, and what I've always learned from my teachers was never sacrifice foreground for sky. So you want to have some foreground to have some visual weight in your painting, okay? So let's get this other peacock, and he's just kind of this shape, kind of a pear shape, an elongated giraffe neck pear shape, okay? And we're gonna put on a beak, and the eye, I mean this will change, but okay, and then he's gonna have some legs. I move to the side a little more. And my assistant is my daughter, Ashley. Ashley, can you move this away because we're done with that? And then just to do your feathers, the little peacock, we don't need to worry about him, but we're just going to, I want to show you this. When you draw a daisy, you draw a circle and you draw just straight lines, confident straight lines, and I kind of go dark to light. It's just kind of I let up a little bit. I'm not going like this. I'm just kind of going and then letting up, and then what you do is you draw on the daisy petals, and we're using the same concept for our peacock, but what we're doing is this, we're just going to have like this is kind of our circle, and our lines go like this. So, because we are going to have a blast filling these petals in, which is so fun. Okay. Okay, so now we're doing the tops of the petals. I hope that you draw this on. I know if you just feel like, oh my goodness, I might ruin this. No, you won't. You know what we'll do? If we don't ever paint, we'll ruin the paintings that we were supposed to paint. So paint, make mistakes. Like, we've got to, get our hours in. Your 10,000 hours. They say that experts put in 10,000 hours, and I think it only takes about 10 years and, 8 hours a week. So, we got to get our 10,000 hours. So it's okay if we make mistakes. Okay, so now we've done step 2, draw the birds. Now step 3 is paint in the white bodies. Okay, so I'm going to get a smaller paintbrush. I'm trying to get the biggest brush though that I can, so I can just really cover this quick. So here's some white, and cover this. And it's great for it to be kind of thin, because then a little bit of the red comes through and it looks warm, and it looks like, wow, how did you shade that with all that orange coming through? It's like, oh, it just came through. I covered the eyes, you notice? Because I'm going to lose my pencil lines. I'm just going to kind of paint over them. Okay. Okay, acrylic paint is amazing. It just dries so fast. It's so forgiving. If you ever make a mess, you can just recover it. So nice. Okay, so we've got the white part painted. So next is we're going to paint in a gradient. So a gradient means, in this case, we're going to go from light green to turquoise to blue. So it's going from kind of light, like medium, to dark. And then we'll put the details on top. So this is one of my favorite palettes. This you can buy at the dollar store. This is an egg tray for deviled eggs. And I put my acrylic paint in all these little round vessels. And then I put a towel over it that's wet. I'll show you. Because I have another one like so. And so this is a wet towel. And I put this over it. And then I put it in a shopping bag. And this stays wet. It's amazing. I don't have to put it in a Ziploc bag. I just kind of go like that. And I just set it here. And it can last a week or two. And it's great. It doesn't dry out. And so the second that I'm ready to paint, I just take this off. I don't have to pour my paint and take 20 minutes to pour my paint. My paint is ready. I mean, you want to make your paint as efficient as you can. And maybe if you have children, you need to put this up high. But my kids are trained that they don't just take this out and go to town because they're older. But okay, so I'm going to make my gradient feathers now. So I've got some yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is an amazing color. I used to think it was really ugly, but it's actually just such a great color you use in nature a ton with plants, and I don't know, I use it everywhere. Okay, so I've made a good green. And so I'm painting in my gradient. I'm going over my pencil lines. But I'm still letting some of the red come through. And you could let like chunks of the red come through, and it will do this concept called simultaneous color contrast, which is when your eye has a color down, it wants to see the complement. And so the Impressionists learned this, that having the complementary color on the color wheel just makes it almost vibrate with just exciting color contrast. Instead of just mixing a brown, you could put a blue and an orange together, and then when you step far away, it mixes to brown in your eye, but it vibrates with excitement. So that is so cool. So here we've got the sage green down. Then I'm going to take probably some of this turquoise, mix it a little bit with my yellow ochre, and then I'm going to paint in. And I'm just kind of blending. You don't want to blend the whole way down or you'll lose your beautiful green sage green. So just keep going. Okay. Okay. I love painting. When I'm painting, I feel happy. But it's really hard to get myself to get down here because I'm always like, well, there's laundry to do. But I have to let my little art self come down here and paint. It's so fun. I'm so glad I get to teach you because you're getting me to paint. Thank you. This is great. Okay, so I need to get some more sage green. I'm going to mix some more yellow ochre with this because I didn't get that one in, and I didn't get that one in. Oopsie. Okay. Okay, and here we go. And then I want to end with ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is an amazing color. Oh my goodness, I love this color. I kind of dulled it down a little bit. So I'm so happy that I'm using this medium-sized brush. It's a number 8. And it's because it's really helping me cover ground fast. Because sometimes, I mean, if you're a mom or even if you're a teenager, I mean, you don't have 8 hours a day to paint, right? You have to paint in the time that you have, so use a big brush. Don't use a little brush. I know you feel like, I need to use a little brush because I need to be safe. Don't be safe. be wild, be crazy, and just get this down with a big brush and have just bold brush strokes. You know, I feel like in time you'll figure out, like, I'm having fun. And I feel like people can almost tell if you're having fun. If you just have strokes that are kind of like safe strokes, then people are like, this feels like this painting was safe. But if you feel like, I'm gonna be bold and brave, it's just, I'm gonna put on these fun strokes, then you know, you can see that the artist is having fun. Okay, so we have the gradient, okay, and then next we need to kind of let that dry, and we're gonna do our details. So I think I'll start with, oh, and also we kind of have to get rid of the background a little bit. I don't know, it looks pretty awesome. I really love that I used this red iron oxide or sepia brown right here, because it looks kind of like they're standing, you know. I think I might want to put a shadow though underneath these two. So I guess I'm going to do kind of just put in some of the sepia brown or red iron oxide, just the little thin, this is a glaze, and just put it underneath the feathers so it looks like, oh, there's a shadow, which kind of grounds your birds and makes it look like, oh, they're standing. And you don't have to have smooth shadows. I mean, I kind of am right now, but it's okay. Texture is fantastic. So I'm kind of getting down my shadows. And then I think this orange is a little intense. I mean, I don't know anybody that's gonna put that much orange in their house, so I think I'm gonna keep toning this down so it won't be so intense. So I'm creating kind of a vignette around the painting. Like it's a gradient, but it's a circular gradient. Okay? Kind of a circular gradient. And you might need to use a little bit of water or matte medium to kind of thin out your acrylic paint. Matte medium is amazing. That really helped change my life with acrylics, because if you're just using the cheapest acrylic paint there is, it is just really hard to work with. I would encourage you to buy the nicer student grade quality stuff. Don't buy the cheapest brand, the Basics, Liquitex. That stuff is not as good as the student grade. It has more pigment, and then you add some matte medium and you can get some great glazes. Even if the paint is kind of opaque, you can get some great glazes. So now what I'm doing is around the bird, I'm doing a little bit of a brown kind of shadow. I don't know what to call this.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm filming. Hey, you need to go to bed, bud. Okay, so right there. Okay, so see how that makes it look round? You're just kind of coloring that in. Okay, so I think we should do now, we've kind of got the background kind of toned down, calmed down a little bit. And now we want to do the details on the feathers, okay? So this is one of my favorite brushes. It's about $13, and this is a Bob Ross liner brush. And sadly, we put it away in this container like this, upside down, and so now it's curved, and I'm really sad. So when you put your brushes away, always keep them up, keep them vertical, keep them safe, take good care of these. I'm just, I love this brush so much. I actually have another one that's just like it, but it's small, and it's great too. But see, what's fun about it is when you put paint on this, you're painting your details and they just last and last and last. But if you have a short filament and you put paint on it, it dries out fast. You use up your paint quick. But this, you just soak up the paint and just keeps on going and going and going and going. It's very fun. So now we are going to paint, let me look at the picture. Okay, we're gonna paint some white. Okay, so let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna paint some white round rainbows, and then I'm gonna paint some white daisy straight lines, and then I'm just gonna go to town making some crazy figure eights, and I'll make some little circle ovals. These are called the eyes in the train, so we'll put in some circles. So anyway, we're gonna do the rainbows and the straight daisy lines, okay? Okay. And I'm gonna use, this color right here is a yellow that I made. I just mixed together a whole bunch of white with some yellow, and I put this in a ketchup bottle, and then I can squeeze this out because I always need light yellow. So I don't have to mix this, I just squeeze it. See, here it is. Ketchup bottle. Most of my paint has been in these 99-cent containers, but this ketchup bottle works great too. And it's actually clean and stayed nice, so it's been good. Okay, so I'm gonna do some of my rainbow loops. I'm just gonna try to be confident. My brush has seen better days. Oh. I need some matte medium because see how I'm getting these lines? I mean, it's kind of a fun texture, but I don't really want that. I want smooth. And so when they kind of dry out, you need to use some of this matte medium, and I'm not sure where it is. Let me grab it. Okay, here's the matte medium. This is not collage glue. I'm just gonna put it in the lid. That's the thing about art, you don't have to be perfect. I'm just wearing gloves because then I don't have to wash off my hands and really get a ton of paint off. But I mostly wear gloves when I oil paint. You really don't need to do this because the acrylic paint comes off so well. So I'm going to just put some of this matte medium on. I'm actually going to mix some of the yellow paint into the matte medium because this is very opaque, and now this is going to be looser and thinner. And see how it's gliding on so much nicer. It's a way of thinning your paint, but sometimes if you thin it with water, it gets too thin and you lose your color. Well, I know this seems like a mess, but I really want you to try, gloss gel or matte medium to thin out your acrylics, because you might not be loving acrylics if you're just painting with a whole bunch of opaque paint. Whoa! Hooey! Okay. Your fingers are your friends. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to do these lines. See, I can just smooth it out quite easily with this matte medium, or you could buy gloss gel. And you can get these things at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Dick Blick, Jerry's Artorama, lots of places online. You can get these. Okay. Okay, we're just putting in confident, straight strokes. Confident. Okay, and you don't have to be, oops, I guess that there isn't really a thing there. I'm just gonna keep paper towels close by, because then you can wipe things out. They're like your erasers, and then it's erasing actually too much, but oh well. you know, you might not feel confident, but it's like, fake it till you make it. You know, it's like, I remember when I was 16 and I went on my first date and I was like, I'm so nervous. But it was like, fake it till you make it. And no one knew I was nervous. You just fake it. So that's what we're gonna do with art. And this is not good. You don't wanna create a tangent. So a tangent is when you are, a line is intersecting with the beak. You want to either overlap or underlap. So I'm gonna be watching this area. For right now, I'm just gonna leave it, but when I paint the beak in, I'm gonna make the beak either smaller or bigger than this line, okay? Okay. This is such a fun painting to paint. I just love peacocks. They are just so fun. I saw one once in the Omaha Zoo and it was just strutting its train and it was so pretty. And then recently I had never really, I don't remember seeing white peacocks ever in real life, but then I saw them on the internet and that's what kind of got me to do this picture. Okay, so we've got that part. I want to paint on the legs. So the legs I'm going light. So I'm going to take some of this yellow ochre. I don't know what that, it's like the color of sandstone. Okay, and this brush, I wish it wasn't so crooked, but oh well. It's okay for the legs to look kind of bumpy and like they have little, I don't know, like
knobs?
Knobs, yeah. Because there's like a knob and then there's like 3 knobs on the claw part. And even if like, I mean, look, that looks really messy, but I'll just fix it later. Because this is working. It's just, I kind of think about chicken feet. And I'm just kind of doing it like chicken feet. So knob, 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 knob. Remember, if you're thinking, I can't do this, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. One of my little boys, he one time, we went to my parents' house and they lived by a train, and I had this feeling to run outside, and right then he was running into the farmhouse. He's running to the farmhouse and he was terrified, and there was a train and he thought it was going to run him over, even though we were, 800 feet away because it was so loud. And after that, he wouldn't go outside. And I had to read him that little book about the little train engine that thought he could, and I tell him, I think I can, I think I can. And I remember him standing at the door at my house, which was in the city, many miles away, and I would just be like, you can do it. And he would stand at the patio door thinking, should I go outside? Because he'd hear this little faint, choo, choo. So he got over his fear. He was able to go outside once again. He's been able to, do his life. And so tell yourself, I think I can, I think I can. Okay. Okay, these are, I know they're kind of messy looking, but we will fix them, because when you put in some little brown shadows, it just pops everything, makes everything look round. Okay, I don't think this is dry yet, so I'm going to blow dry it for a second. Actually, I don't want to waste time. I'll just paint in the face. Okay, so I quit blow drying because I'm not that patient, and I'm just going to paint on the beaks and the other thing. I'm going to take some of my matte medium, so this clear, And then I'm gonna put it on the side of my sepia, and so I'm gonna thin down my paint because this palette is about 2 weeks old, and so I'm thinning down so I have some nice brown to work with because it kind of got dried out and a little bit globby, and I mean not dried out, but just thick. I mean, so anyway, so I'm gonna put an eyeball. Okay, and then I'm gonna go put in the shadows under the feet. Oops, I just got rid of one. I'm glad this is all dry. Those feet dried fast. Okay. So make sure to stay tuned to the end to hear the story of Kabir, the white peacock. Because it's a great story. I can't believe it came together so well. Oh, tickled pink. Okay. So I'm just going underneath, putting all the little shadows. And then I'm going to put on a little bit darker shadow. Okay. Okay, so one concept that I want to teach you is the importance of having a focal point. And so the focal point concept that we want to learn is that you don't want to do a Vanessa mouse. And so there's this little story about a little mouse family who had a cute little daughter, but they brought a new baby home from the hospital. And everybody said, oh, this baby is adorable. And so Vanessa got out her pink tutu and she was like, hey, does anybody want to see me dance? And everybody just oohed and awed over the baby. And so she said it a little bit louder. Does anybody want to see me dance? And no one noticed her. The baby was so cute and so new. And so she got on the table and she screamed, does anybody want to see me dance? And everybody watched Vanessa, and they didn't enjoy it, but they did watch her. And so the concept is you don't want to do a Vanessa mouse in your painting. So you don't want to make a focal point that's just so demanding that the viewer can't look anywhere else. You want the viewer to be able to travel around. And so like in this painting, I think that this peacock, the father, he's the focal point, but having his son kind of gives some interest and some variety, because you look at this beautiful peacock and then you look over at the sun and then you travel around again, you look at the sun. And so it's just it's a good balance. So you need a focal point. That's the most important thing in a painting. And a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to put a focal point in. So I want to put it smack dab in the center. Oh my goodness, I did it. That's bad. Ah! You're not supposed to do that. But it just happened. Oh well. But usually you want to put the focal point, in what's called the rule of thirds. So you have a grid that's like a tic-tac-toe. And so you want your focal point to be in one of the cross sections of your tic-tac-toe. And I got it smack dab in the center, but oh well, who cares? Oopsie. Okay, so we're getting in some fun little lines. I'm gonna mix a little bit of blue and white, and we're just going to paint in some, just smooth in some gradient colors. We don't want to lose all of our red that's in there, but this is where you just kind of need to be a little bit playful and just like, what could I do? Like, I enjoyed painting this painting bigger because you could make figure eights easier and it could make things a little easier. But painting small is great because you'll actually possibly paint. If you have to paint big, it's like, oh, that's too much work. I'm never going to do that. And so paint small until you want to paint big, and then paint big. Okay. So I'm just getting some fun little designs. I think I'll do some little dots. And I'm gonna get some of my ultramarine blue, this blue right here, and I'm gonna put in the eyes. And the eyes kind of, that isn't showing up very well. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. We'll just put them in and see if they show up. I should be using a bigger brush, but this is working, so oh well. Okay. Oh, Nova Color is also a great place to buy paint, but you buy it in a bigger quantities. But like, I have had a hard time finding my two favorite colors, red iron oxide and yellow iron oxide, from anybody but Nova Color. So those are my two favorite colors to buy from them. Okay, so we're getting in our eyes. These eyes, I think that the Peacocks use these eyes to intimidate and to attract females. I mean, not to intimidate females, but maybe to intimidate enemies and attract females. So I think it's starting to pop. I feel like it just needs some pizzazz. I feel like I'm trying to be too safe. Maybe just put in some, fun lines. I'm kind of doing a variety of like, oh, I know this is a fun thing. You could do a heart, and then a heart, and then a heart. Isn't that fun? So, and then maybe some little dots coming down. So here, maybe do, and then maybe we'll just repeat some of these. Okay. Just doing some little loop-de-loops. You just want to look like you're having fun. And then I'm actually going to do some more, I really love these little, I don't know what they're called, a little heart. I have to thin this paint down again. So what did I do? I did, okay, like these are two arms that are like, yay! And then you've got so it's like a head and two arms. And so this is just representing the fancy train. Okay. I'm excited to see what you paint. You should, I don't know if it's possible to, show in the comments your pictures. But maybe we can eventually put on my website, createwithkrystal.net, a place for you to upload your painting that you painted, and then it'll be fun to see. So I'm gonna put some little yellow highlights on these feet, on the knobs. Okay. I don't know if this is going to look good or not, these little knobbies, because they look like chicken pox or something. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this red iron oxide that I love. I'm going to put some on the edges. I did that in this painting. If you could see, like, oh, you know, I put some red iron oxide and made a gradient of kind of a sepia, then yellow ochre, then white, and it makes it look round. And then here a little bit more of the sepia. So I'm going to add the sepia. Okay. Oh, so I'm gonna add this, and it doesn't have to look perfect. It's better if it doesn't look perfect, because then it actually looks like feathers. Okay, and we'll go and do this one. Okay, I'm just going to put in some more just putting in a few little dark lines, because to make it pop and not to, you don't want this to look like, wow, she just outlined that. Okay, I'm gonna thin that out a little bit. I just have a brush that's wet, and I'm just pulling back some of the paint. Just pulling it back, just with water. And it's leaving kind of a cool texture, I like it. I think I'm gonna...
You're missing blue and gunpowder.
Oh,
Bottom up.
this one?
Yeah.
So I'm just putting in some yellow feathers to continue making it look round. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of lost and found edges and stuff, so it kind of just looks... Edges being soft is what makes it look 3D. And I need to lighten this a little bit. This is already dried, so I'm gonna... Oh, that isn't sepia. Oops. It's maroon, but that'll work. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take some more of that maroon and put it under here again, because I just want to dull down some of the red, that cad red. Cad red is the color that you use for skin. It is awesome. You just mix it with white and it's almost a perfect skin color. And if you want to make it even better, add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of lime green, or a little bit of yellow ochre and lime green, and you've got skin color, cad red, white, and yellow ochre and a little lime green. Which lime green you'd have to make with phthalo green and yellow. So, okay. I gotta put some more brown around the top of this, because that's your focal point, and you want to draw the eye up to that head on that. So I'm just going to go a little darker again on the corners. Okay. Coloring in some of the heads to make it pop. I wrote a little story, so here it is. The White Peacock by Krystal Meldrum. Deep in the rainforests of India, there lived a father peacock and his 5 sons. He was deeply proud of his progeny and spent his days teaching them. He taught them to display their feathers as they protected the colony from vipers, tigers, and beasts of prey. He was most proud, however, of his youngest son, Kabir, because of his rare white feathers, as you see here. Each day as his sons paraded through the forest, father had Kabir lead them. His son fanned out his white train, revealing a cloud of white magnificence. His eldest brother, Rahul, was cruel to Kabir, since he should have been the leader of the patrol. Over time, the other brothers grew bitter and jealous at the attention Kabir received. They excluded him whenever they were together. Feeling betrayed and outcast, Kabir took to traveling the forest alone, until one day he came across an indigo bush. Using the dye from its leaves, he painted his feathers blue, and as he traveled home, there was a jaunty hop in his step and hope in his heart that maybe his brothers would accept him. But his hopes were in vain, for before he could reach home, the skies opened and rain washed away his sapphire wishes. When the sun finally returned, Kabir was in no mood to return home. He came across a flock of peahens playing in a clearing. He asked if he could join them. "You may play if you do 2 things," the peahens said. "Give each of us one of your beautiful white feathers, and roll around in the mud so you look like us." Hopeful, Kabir eagerly accepted. Rolling around the mud was not too bad, but pulling out his feathers was painful. He played for a time, but he could not play well because of the mud. After a time, the peahens told him that his feathers were too white again, and he must grant each of them another feather. Having had enough, Kabir chose to leave, wondering why he was different. As he plodded through the forest, his feathers dragged behind him. He stopped at the river to wash off the insulting mud. At the river's edge, not even seeing him, a rhino and wild boar stepped on his train, tearing out more feathers. When sunset fell, Kabir arrived home looking bedraggled and worn. Father was dismayed to see his son's fan so damaged. "Why do you let your feathers be trampled?" Father asked. Kabir wept, saying that all he wanted was to fit in. "You were not made to fit in, my son," his father said. "Now go join your brothers. The flock has gathered tonight at the elephant graveyard. You should be among them." Obediently, Kabir set off for the graveyard. When he crested the hill, he could see a sinuous form creeping through the grasses unseen by his kin. "Tiger! Tiger!" he shrieked. At the sound of his call, the gathering of peafowl exploded into a flurry of feathers and dust. Spying the peacocks unprotected in the chaos, Kabir leapt into action, placing himself between them and the tiger. He unfurled his train like a ragged shield amid the elephant bones. The other peacocks flew to the branches, just beyond the reach of the tiger. From the vantage point of the trees, Rahul saw that Kabir was in danger. He shrieked, crying out for his brothers to attack. As the beast drew closer, Kabir's nerves quivered. But just as it seemed the tiger was about to pounce, Rahul flew across, scratching the tiger's face. The tiger spun and lunged for Rahul. The brothers bit at his tail as the tiger raced in circles to cast them off. They clawed at the tiger's eyes, blinding the tiger. The tiger roared and ran away, whimpering. Stunned, Kabir realized what had happened. He and the Peacocks had not been seen. Through the cloud of chaos and dust, his ragged train looked to be the same bone white as the ivory bones around them. When the dust settled, the peafowl gathered to see what had been lost. To their amazement, every one of them had survived, down to the smallest chick. As Kabir held the Peacocks close, he promised himself he would keep his feathers pure and white. So I hope you will like this video, share it with all your friends. People want to learn how to be creative. And even if you have other creative endeavors, you can learn a lot from design principles that I teach. So share it and comment, tell me what your questions are, and I'll answer those questions. And subscribe to Create with Krystal.